Yeah, we do have interesting here. The Edge and Fu are not harder to get in this flag set, which is kind of non-standard. Usually, we like to have them harder to get. You see Edge start here. That's pretty nice for our players to start with. Pretty much assures there's not going to be any big troubles on the overworld with Sid as well. Very nice physical start.
Yeah, not to mention, the custodian levels being quite higher than some of the other characters. They're not going to have much trouble with a lot of these early spots to be checking.
Yeah, no key item to start with there. Artemis arrows, though, are not no slouch item. That's going to be pretty useful, especially with Sid already sitting in the party.
Yeah, definitely just maybe hoping to find a bow right quickly, and we'll see what some of these runners decide to go about here. Uh, we get the little what they needed to be done here, telling them they need to find all the elements to continue on in the.
Now, although these new objective-based gameplay has been available for quite some time, a lot of players are still getting used to it. Version 4 of the randomizer finally came out of beta and into live version pretty recently. So you're seeing a lot of strategy divergence from how players used to play, especially how they're hunting for treasure now.
Yeah, we see three of the runners going directly into Baron, looking for some treasure. Dia has decided to check out the Mist Dragon cave to look for one of those bosses. Only finds Vigan and immediately resets. No reason to fight it.
Moonblaze Wolf here, checking the Baron and finding the Dark Imps. I think we'll probably actually try to power through both of these battles. With a starting edge, it's very possible to beat most bosses here.
Yeah, and having Sid as a backup for health, he does find the Mist Dragon in the secondary spot, so.
Yeah, we do have no free characters on, but no free key items is not on. So Miss Dragon does not help us tonight. We see Dia getting the package from Edward in Troya Castle instead.
Yeah, so Moonblaze going through this, going to be getting the third character of the party, but beyond that, not much to achieve here. Possibly a key item.
Did I just see a crystal sword on Simbu's screen, or was that a crystal ring?
I'm not sure. It's sometimes a little harder to tell with the vintage graphics. I know I saw a crystal glove at some point, so we'll see. Maybe if he goes to his sell menu here.
Yeah, the vintage does throw us for a loop a bit because the icons are actually changed to their NES equivalent icons as well. So it's not used to not really what we're used to looking at.
Speaking of crystal ring, I believe that's what Moonblaze Wolf just picked up off that Baron invite, also getting himself a Palom. So.
Yeah, this is not a bad start at all. We're going to see some very quick progress out of our players now.
Zilch also making the Baron in play. Looks like Simbu has decided to go straight to Edward to get this package for himself.
And I should mention, besides Dia, Simbu, Zilch, and Moonblaze Wolf, we do have about, let's see here, 16 or 18 players playing tonight. So off screen, we do have quite a few people taking part. Yeah, and looks like it is 18 runners tonight.
It looks like we have found one of the Mylons. I'm assuming it's one of the Mylons because of vintage up on Mount Hobbs. It is Mylon Z, so one of the first required fiends is up on the mountain.
Easy peasy. Always nice to get an objective out of the way quickly, especially a spot where pretty much every player is going to check. No gotchas here. It's basically something everybody's going to find.
Simbu checking out the item shops, finding some cabins and some ethos for his trouble.
Yeah, on this shop setting, our players aren't going to be able to find the really broken items in the overworld item shops, or at least they will be extremely rare.
Yeah, so there's going to be a few chase items they're going to look for. Those cabins, probably one of them, was they're just checking all these boss spots. We got Simbu checking the package, actually, and we see, I think it's a Rosa with Bahamut burning down the village.
This is an interesting play because it's not like the party's hurting for characters right now. So Simbu either is really liking the Rosa, maybe because of the Artemis arrows already in the inventory, but maybe just wanting that better white mage as well.
I mean, with 6 bosses on the table that he needs to find too, he could be gambling that the Baron in fight might actually be one of those 6 fiend fights.
We did find an Earth hammer in the Damsian armory as well, so Sid is going to be pretty well kitted out.
I believe I saw Moonblaze also picking up a Sorcerer Robe, which is very nice to have.
We can see both Dia and Zilch getting the hovercraft early before they know they're going to need it. That's, I wouldn't call it a gamble, but more like thinking, what are the odds? You know, you have basically a 50-50 shot, Magma Key or Hook, and if you get the hovercraft early, that means you don't have to get it later. The odds that you won't use it at all, you won't have to turn in a rat tail, you won't have to use the hook, are kind of low once you think about it with as many key item locations that are in play.
We do have Zilch, I believe, is our first runner checking the Octomon spot, finding himself Ogre Bogle for his trouble. We'll see if he resets out of that one. And it looks like the Baron Inn is only the Ashura, so not one of the fights, but looks like Simbu's going to go ahead and go through to pick up that Rosa, as it's a fairly easy fight, and he's already gone through all the time.
Oh yeah, that Mute Dagger, really short work there. Alright, so now we're getting some of the standard checks out of the way. Dia heading into Antlion Cave. We're very used to seeing this first. It's basically the easiest boss spot that can give you a key item.
Yeah, due to the nature of the starting characters, we saw a few other checks first, but it's pretty standard to come in here to check out the boss, check for a key item and everything.
And on the way in, you did see one thing I really like about the vintage Battlefield effect is it makes the secret passages stand out very nicely, which if you're not used to the color palette of an actual SNES, you come to rely on being able to see those secret passages instead of knowing where they're at. And actually it can trip you up, especially in the lunar subterranean.
And we do find ourselves a hook here in the Antlion Cave, so one of the 2 ways through the underground is now open.
Oh baby, now the only question is, are they going to look to see if they can find a Magma Key instead, or are they going to just dive right in? Because with this party, it's not going to require too many more levels before they'll be okay to tackle whatever boss is at the hook spot.
No, definitely not. Although it'll be interesting to see what our runners are thinking of as, you know, the 6 bosses they need to find. I believe one of our runners has found one of those bosses so far.
Yeah, and that's the thing with a boss hunt that has this many bosses on the list is really, it makes your pathing decisions less risky because the fact is you're probably going to have to check those spots anyways. So it's just, are you going to check them now or later?
Exactly. We do have Zilch going through with the package as well. Going to find himself Rosa and Ashura eventually, but looks like Diaz decided to use that hook almost immediately, or is just positioning the hovercraft for now and is heading to Mount Ordeals.
Interesting play here. Mount Ordeals has mixed feelings in the community. Some players will absolutely avoid it unless they have to go. But in this case, I think it's a very smart play because it's 3 bosses that you know you have the firepower to defeat, basically. And since we're in a boss hunt situation, it's very good because you can knock out 3 at once.
Yeah, I think Mount Ordeals is a really smart play in a 6-boss boss hunt. Especially with the characters and the firepower they have at this point, as you mentioned.
Simbu finding Ogopogo in the watery pass and getting out of there.
Yeah, it looks like Moonblaze Wolf has decided to go Mount Hobbs and Simbu not far behind, so they're going to find their first fiend here. That looks like we got a karate up in the first spot on the mountain, though.
So close to everyone's favorite back attack, kick around the world position.
Yeah, with the pody he has and the items he has, no problem here, kind of taking out karate here.
I'm really going for a double take every time I look at the screen now, because this color palette on Vintage makes me think that Edge is petrified every time I look.
It's not the easiest. We do have the D Lunars in the Mylon Z spot, so 0 for 2 on the Fiend bosses.
Got some more shopping here. Moonblaze Wolf finding Star Veils in the tiny village. Why can I remember the name of that town?
Silver?
Yes, exactly.
Had to think myself. Yeah, it's Star Veils being a very useful item, giving your character the wall status. So.
Yeah, and although we know that Ashur is in a very easy spot, we still haven't seen Golbez yet, which is where those Star Veils really shine.
Yeah, looks like we have Zilch and Simbu heading into the Antlion Cave, gonna get their hooks soon after fighting Octomon. Whereas Diaz gonna move on to the final fight of Mount Ordeals here, and the key item spot as well.
Would you consider Octomammoth more of a mammoth or more of an octopus?
I mean, it's still got all the tentacles. I'm going with Octopus still. And we find ourselves a twin hope on the top of Mount Ordeals, and just a wall in the mirror.
Oh, yes. Our item tracker, Ali, reminds us in chat that under the Vintage rules, you may want to turn down your volume if any of our runners head over to Cave Magnus, because the Black Chocobo theme is something to hear for sure.
It's like Simbu's picked up his hook. Zilch is about to get it. Simbu heading to Fabul here, where Moonblaze Wolf has decided that the play is Mount Ordeals. Eventually going to pick up that Twin Hope as well, as Dia makes their way off the mountain now. Yeah, this is the vintage flag that was created for April Fools last year. Kind of bringing it down to the original Final Fantasy-esque like graphics and some sounds. So.
Yeah, so we're starting to have our runners cross over each other. Simbu showing us the Mom Bomb at Fabul. A little French vanilla there.
So this is just going to turn out to be, a key item check at this point. So unless this is the magma, it looks like the hook might be our path. I guess we still have the Twin Hope to check.
Cave Magnus is another location where a lot of players kind of, it's this, that, or the other on whether they're going to go or not, because there's some cutscenes to sit through. It takes a long time to run down there, and it's only one boss and one key item check. So I think we could see some players dive the hook before checking that Twin Harp.
There's also the possibility with the party they have, they don't have exit yet because Rosa doesn't learn that until you do the Earth Crystal. So if they did do it, they would have to walk out of there. Unless they found exit items, which I don't know if I've seen yet.
Now, they had the basic starting pack, which I believe has at least one exit in it. Whether they want to use it for Cave Magnus or not, though, is a question for sure.
Looks like Simbu got the pan out of the Fabul Castle. Definitely a nice item to have before you go to the underground, so that you can cut out one of a couple trips if necessary to Sylph Cave.
Yeah, very nice to not have to double dip Sylph Cave for sure. And it's basically an extra item check as well, because the sylphs can give you an item under these flags.
Yeah, it looks like Moonblaze Wolf has picked up his Twin Harp and now is going to defeat this evil wall pretty easily. This spot doesn't have much health, so...
Yeah, 1,000 HP only, which is really nothing for this edge. We'll take care of it in a couple of turns.
You have Dia clearing out that Baronin spot, getting the Crystal Ring for their troubles, whereas Zilch has decided to make the Fabul play. Interesting to see what Simbu does here. He does have ordeals open to him, but he does have that hook. Looks like he is deciding to do mount ordeals here. So going to be following up to get that Twin Harp and defeat a few bosses that aren't necessary, but he'll get them out of the way.
Yeah, so it looks like we're going to have full parity here pretty soon for all of our runners, assuming Zilch goes to Mount Ordeals as well after this Fabul check.
Like Dia going to check Udia's mother after defeating Mist Dragon, not really realizing that that flag's not quite on, so...
Yeah, but it's weird because Dia did check Troy Castle already. I'm pretty sure, just forgot that those two things are connected together.
Yeah, the second, there was one Palom in Baron Inn and one on the top of Mount Hobbs. Palom's game.
Yeah, so as if this party didn't have enough power already, here very quickly, just a few levels, maybe even on the way underground, we're going to get Quake, and then it's going to be over for quite a bit.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what people choose to do. It looks like Moonblaze Wolf going to take a look at that package. We'll see if he sees Rosa, decides that it's worth going through for the boss check as well. Looks like that's going to be the choice.
Yeah, you know, when you're looking for 6 bosses, you really can't afford to leave any stone unturned, because when you do, that's when you will do all sorts of crazy things like check all the moon bosses, and then you'll remember, oh, I never did the package boss. Oops.
Yeah, at this point, it just seems like something our runners are not willing to leave behind, so we're going to get that check pretty much all around, it looks like.
Yeah, it would be great if it was a better payoff for them, but I think most of them were wanting to take Rosa at any event, so not too much of a loss there.
Yeah, it's not a bad consolation prize. I mean, luckily, no matter what shows up in this inn, you know, Ashra being what it is, has very little health and just easily taken out, even without the mute dagger that we saw employed earlier. looks like Zilch, our final runner, has decided to make the Mount Ordeals play. Again, still a really good play when looking for all these bosses. I believe the only things we haven't seen now are, I guess, going through that hook and going to the Twin Hook.
Yeah, we are rapidly running out of places to go on the overworld. So we're going to see one of those two things here. It would be nice if we see some different strategies. Some players go to Cave Magnus and some players go underground right away to show us more. And of course, music is always a fan favorite of our community, even if it's going to be 8-bit versions.
It looks like Dia has decided at least to check out the cave first.
Yeah, I mean, you can sneak a peek of the boss, you can get another character, you can decide whether it's worth it to keep going down or go back out.
Yeah, opening some chests here. There are a couple trap chests, but again, with the party they have, they should be able to make decent work of them without too much trouble. A couple more shops for them to check you as well.
Yeah, and you know, trap chest hunting at this point is not quite a bad idea because the EXP is here, and from the 4 giant trap chests in the upper tower of Babel is a significant amount of EXP, and you know, Quake is very very useful just a few levels away, it feels like.
Yeah, and Dia finding a very nice shop here in Cave Babylon. Coffins, hourglass twos, and exits.
Yeah, that's an almighty shop. For those of you not maybe familiar with Free Enterprise, hourglasses are like one of the most useful items in the randomizer. So useful, in fact, that over the history of the randomizer, the price of those in shops has been vastly increased. We saw on Monday they were ridiculously cheap, but that is not the case in the current version of the randomizer.
We do find ninja swords in Cave Babylon too. They're a little expensive, but do have, I guess, our first big divergence here. Simbu and Moonblaze both going for that twin harp, where Dia is in the Eblon. Zilch has finally picked up their twin harp here themselves.
Ooh, with the save down here as well. That's interesting.
Oh, it looks like we have a Bahamut Rubicante with a Fusoya sitting in the cave, so we didn't have a lot of power before.
Oh man, this seed is just giving it all. We've got Rosa, we've got Fusoya, we've got Edge, we've got Sid, we got all the tools you need. We got double Quake Kid, whatever you want. It says you name it, you got it. This is wide open now as far as our party power goes, because this is a boss hunt, meaning our players have gone out of their way to fight more bosses than usual, meaning their Fusoya are already going to be pretty good. So we'll see that spell list here in a moment.
Give you guys a little quiet for the music about to come up here on Simbu Stream. And we do have some Mystic Quest music.
Very nice rendition there. And Dr. Luge not going to be a problem here. Simbu's going to melt through him pretty quick.
Ooh, and we have found boss number 2. The elements are in the King and Queen Eblon spot.
There we go, knocking another one down. Very nice when your objective boss is standing directly in your path.
Makes a quick use of that reflection to get rid of them immediately.
And choosing to go here first rather than Cave Magnus could be a game changer for Dia, because we see that Fusoya is going to help immensely. They're going to have access to the underground long before anyone else at this point, and if Cave Magnus ends up being a bust, then this could really put them ahead.
Yeah, all depends. Looks like Cab Magnus only gives us the pass, so I mean, quick access to Zeromus after you find all the fiends, but not really anything that's going to gate progression at this point. So Dia is looking good, having chosen to do Eblon Cave.
Yeah, I mean, the only time our players wouldn't want the pass in this situation is if the final boss they killed happened to be deep in the lunar subterrane, which is rather unlikely. So it's definitely nice for them to see, and I would expect that even Dia will check it eventually. But we see Bahamut here, not a problem. We already had Star Veils, we have Fusoya, we got Edge, gonna get through this pretty quickly.
Yeah, and Fusoya knowing the wall spell as well just makes it so much easier, even with the Star Veils.
Now, I am kind of curious. I would have liked to see one of the Porums at least be alive to get EXP here, because, like I said, it's going to be invaluable to have Quake. And I know some people don't rely on it as much as others, but especially going underground, there's a lot of utility there for it.
Yeah, maybe a little unfortunate that they don't get any experience here, but I'm sure just happy enough getting through and moving on to the underground and all the checks they have in front of them now.
You know, it doesn't look like Dia did Fabul, so missing the pan, which is a little bit of a downer because that is going to cost some time, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, and it looks like Moonblaze might be making the same play, picking up the hovercraft here finally, and has the hook and everything else in tow, so...
Yeah, and Simbu and Moonblaze will have the advantage. Well, at least Simbu has the advantage of having the pan.
It looks like Simbu and Zilch are the only runners that decided to do Fabul early, so...
Which is pretty surprising to me, considering it's a pretty easy boss spot / check. Yeah, Moonblaze Wolf wasting no time, also picking up some hourglasses in that Cave Eblin shop.
Dia making the back way into the Dwarf Castle here. Looking for some shop items and other things.
Yeah, that's some style there. Dwarf Castle's a very good play under these flags. Anywhere where you can knock out multiple bosses at the same time is going to be a great place to go.
Yeah, it looks like our first boss is going to be one of the lunar ones. Slowly running out of those, I believe. We've seen Ogre Pogo, we've seen D-Lunars, and I think we saw another one, but I can't be sure.
Yeah, so we're either looking at Wyvern, which is going to have a random attack here, Or Plague.
Looks like Plague is the one, which should be pretty easy with this party. They got plenty of damage going, and just have to get past this this count.
Ooh, that's pretty rare on Fu. Fu doesn't have nuke yet, but he does have white, so it's pretty rare for you to see Fu throwing those out with the long cast time.
But as you can see, still does quite a bit of damage, taking care of Plague quite easily. And it looks like we got some Quake levels.
Oh, the true quack, the four-letter quack.
To answer your question, Gumika, they're running on the vintage flag set, which kind of brings it down to NES type graphics. Dia's quick to throw away that Cecil and into this goat fight.
Yeah, while all our runners are getting through Evelyn and the Upper Babel here, I should mention this this retro setting was used for April Fool's community race last year, so we have to give props. The developer of Free Enterprise Boardface kind of spoils us on occasion and gives us some nice surprises and additions to the game, and it was popular, so it was added to the next patch.
Dia getting off one of those quakes with the kids to make quick work of those guards. I believe Fusoya was channeling a Meteo if all else failed, but...
Hey, if you got the MP, use it. Because Dia has to exit the castle through the bottom anyways, so the healing pot is right there on the way out.
We have Moonblaze Wolf in this King Queen Evelyn squad, finding the second of the required bosses. We also see the Magma Key from the Dwarf Castle. Thanks a lot, dwarfs.
Can we get a slow clap for Magma Key Underground?
Luckily, the exit spell takes you to where you went in, so getting right back to that back entrance, back to the hovercraft, or the airship here.
Dia gonna check the free item here in the Feymarch. We'll see the bosses here in Feymarch could also hold key items as well as being part of the boss hunt. So I would expect at least gonna get a check on who those bosses are.
We also get a rat tail in the free item chest down here in the Feymarch, so another key item and another check.
Vanilla rat tail, you love to see it.
We have Moonblaze and Simbu both in this Bahamut fight at the same time, putting up walls, making their way through.
Yeah, D is cabining up, gonna actually take a crack at these bosses, or at least see what they are and if they're easy enough to do, gonna make an attempt. The Feymarch is a good play here. I mean, you're basically getting 5 checks for one location.
Looks like we only have Dark Knight Cecil, and it looks like the Kaipo in guards.
Now, the Kaipo guards are pretty good to find here, basically free. Dark Knight Cecil is extremely rude at this location, and our players are going to need quite a few levels, unless they just get really lucky and get a heal on Fusoya in time. The Dark Waves, I think, though, might even one-shot Fusoya at this point.
Yeah, I believe that spot should, I think, do between 800 and 1,000 damage. Fusoya would live, but I also don't know if he's fast enough to get off healing spells between them at this point. Not the most speedy character.
And deal with some swag here, coffining the guards and life glitching them at the same time, especially the commander in the back. That's going to really boost the EXP. This is very smart.
Yeah, give themselves about 40,000 experience there, a few levels on each of its characters. Sadly, one of the pawns is taking a nap, but
And there's a sand ruby from the Baron guards. Not ideal, but it is a key item. You know, we'll take what we can get.
And to confirm what someone said in the chat earlier, I finally looked, and it is Val Valis at the top of the tower.
And that's good information to have. Dia did peek that, so Dia has that knowledge, is just choosing not to go there yet.
Yeah, it's not everyone's favorite fiend to fight, especially, when you don't have a cane.
Moonbase Wolf about to be the people's champion, about to check the employment dwarf. We've got a utility meter reader tonight.
Yeah, we do have Dia going for this Dark Knight Cecil fight. Looks like it's only doing about, 650 to 800 damage, so...
Yeah, there we go. Justice is not the only right in this world. Someday you will see through. Nice work, Dia.
And we also see with that pan, Simbu is going immediately to the Sylph Cave.
I can't say I'd do any different. It's 3 checks in one. Very good value.
It's like Dark Knight Cecil only holding the spoon. I missed with the Sylph's Cave Simbu there. King Queen Eblon spot was actually the elements, which is very required in this seed.
Now, we should note the spoon flag is on, but I have my doubts that anyone finding Edward at this point would keep him, even if they had the spoon.
A Bahamut summon was apparently from the Sylphs. Thank you, Alcel. Looks like Dia has decided it is now time to go up the tower to fight Valvalis, so going for that other objective that we know is there.
Yeah, and this is kind of a gamble because if you know Valvalis is there, then there's no harm in waiting until you have the tower key and you can get another check out of it because you know you're going to have to go there eventually. But right now, Dia is gambling that there's nothing in that tower key room.
Looks like we get the Baron key and the tower key from that pan and the Sheila 1 check, so...
Ooh, that may come back to haunt Dia. Because if Dia had the pan, I've got to think they would have checked it before coming to tower. So another potential catch-up / time save for Simbu.
Yeah, and with pretty much everything except for, I guess, Luca Cave open to him on this overworld underworld, we'll see where he decides to go with this. Looks like heading back to the underground at least.
Now, I think Dia will be fine on this Valvalis. It is a pretty beefy spot, but the party is such right now that I believe magic will be able to hit her.
Yeah, I think this spot has a pretty low evasion as it is as well, so the tornado form doesn't make it too hard to hit. I think we'll probably see Berserk maybe try to get a nuke out to see if he can hit with magic.
Yeah, this spot dies in about 3 nukes and some change, so not going to be too tough.
Yeah, and as I mentioned, you see that nuke is hitting even through the tornado form, so should make pretty quick work of this. Zilch and Moonblaze Wolf are both making their way through the dwarf castle fights, but be very disappointed with the magma key. Looks like
Looks like
making his way there as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, wailing away on this Valvalus. Lost his Rosa. I believe his middle Palom he's been keeping as an agility anchor at this point, and with another nuke, takes out Valvalus.
Well, that's the adamant ore we found there. So a key item, but not a key item we were actually looking for.
Yes, the Fiend Hunt does include both Mylons, the Elements, and the other three. So far, we have found Mylon Z on Mount Hobbs, the Elements in the King Queen Eblon spot, and Valvalus at the top of the tower.
And there's a lot of boss spots to go. We have the entire moon, which we haven't seen a glimpse of yet, and no sign of the dark crystal yet either.
So Dia's going to make their way out of the tower. Has a couple choices left of them here. Looks like they're going to make the single trip to Yang, which I believe will yield the Baron key in the end.
Yeah, we're starting to see a little bit of convergence from the other three non-Dia runners here. They're all kind of getting through, checking the same stuff, and we'll see what they do after that, because they do have some options now. So
yeah, looks like Moonblaze and Zilch are in the Feymark. I'm a little surprised that Zilch hasn't turned in the pan, but I guess deciding with the boss hunt to kind of check these spots where a couple bosses are available. And
yeah, that is the deal. Usually, Soph Cave is a no-brainer once you get underground just for the free check. But when you're looking for bosses too, that makes Feymarch a little, I would say, more attractive, because you can get 3 checks instead of just 1.
Zilch picking up that rat tail in the chest. Check out the shop, and I'm gonna guess we'll at least fight this soldier battle as well. We'll see if they decide to take on the Dark Knight Cecil. Dia toning in the rat tail for an apple.
Womp womp.
And so probably not what they were exactly hoping for, but they're gonna continue on and tone in the Sheila 1 check to get the Baron key, and we'll see where they decide to go.
I mean, the only consolation there is if anyone else gets the rat tail, they're going to go check it too. They're going to waste the same amount of time. So it doesn't hurt that much, because I have to think that everybody's going to fight those bosses to get, and everybody's going to get the rat tail in that free box. So they're probably all going to waste that time as well.
Oh no, even before going to Sheila, Dia has decided to do the Fabul that they skipped before, is gonna see the pan, and probably be a little disappointed. I mean, happy for the pan, but disappointed they didn't do it earlier.
Yeah, it's not that costly to double dip Soph Cave. It just is annoying for you when you're the runner.
Definitely. We see Zilch taking a quick nap to the Dark Knight Cecil here. Maybe not as prepared as Dia was at the time. Can be trying.
Yeah, we see moving the battle speed down to make sure they can get those heals off.
Also throwing that coast ring on Sid to try and manipulate some agility here, so see how it goes the second time. Now we know that the Dark Knight Cecil only holds a spoon, however the runners don't.
Well, key items are key items. I mean, if nothing else, we can still look for that 10 key item EXP boost.
Ooh, and we see on Moonblaze's screen, the Cure 4 actually goes off before the first Dark Wave. Now it looks like Zilch has made it through with Fusoya alive. It has received their pan, has received the Baron key now.
Yeah, it's definitely an ouch for Moonblaze Wolf to not get the EXP on any of the other characters, but passing the battle is a win.
Yeah, sometimes when you see Dark Knight Cecil, you just need to make it through. Simbu doing the Baron in check that he left off from earlier in the game. See Zilch and Moonblaze both getting their spoon here. As it looks like Dia has decided that this Baron key they received is now the play. We'll be making their way through. Can't remember who the boss was at the very beginning of the game.
Baron is not a bad move in this work because you get 2 key item checks and 3 boss checks, so not bad at all. And when we're still looking for 3 bosses, any place you could get multiple bosses, like we said before, is going to be good value.
Definitely. After that Baron in check, it looks like Simbu's decided not to go through with the Baron Castle here, whereas we do see Dia now entering that Baron Castle. Looks like Moonblaze is doing the Sheila 1 check, whereas Zilch is finishing off the Feymoke. It was original Mylon in the Baron Castle. So that is 4 of our 6 fiends.
And if the runners had better memory than we did, they would know that. So yeah, and I see a lot of compliments about the vintage flag. Just FYI, this flag isn't anything special. It's available in the current version of the randomizer. You can turn this flag on whenever you want to roll a seed for yourself. It's right there in all the other flag options. I think it's near the bottom of the current options page.
Well, looks like we have Leviathan on the throne of Baron.
We switched one water monster for another. Moonblaze Wolf getting that disappointing apple from the rat tail and then going to check Sheila.
We'll see if Moonblaze does the same thing as Dia and fights the Fabul fight right before turning on Sheila to get the pan. Looks like that is what's going to happen. So going to take out that Mom Bomb, get a pan, and be a little disappointed has to make a double dip, but
I guess the consolation is that really the only one who didn't have to double dip is really, well, I guess Simbu and Zilch both had the pan, but they were also a little bit behind Dia in the first place, so it's not enough for them to get farther behind, but it could let them gain a little bit of time.
I missed who the character was in Baron because I was watching Simbu make easy work of this Dark Knight Cecil. Looks like Zilch is going to turn in the pan, get themselves the Baron and Tower keys.
All right, we're about to see what's in the Baron trash can. Before, I gotta assume Dia is definitely going to check the Odin spot after this as well. Smapety raiding with a party of 4. Thank you, Smapety. Always appreciate it. Good to see you. And Simbu also, no hesitation, hourglassing these guys, getting the coffin out, getting the life potion queued on the officer, going to be getting a smack and huge gobbet of EXP from these guys.
I also missed what was in the trash can, although it does look like we have the Mega Sisters here in the Odin spot.
Grandra in the chat asking, does Zaroma still have to be defeated at the end or just the fiends? You know, you can set it either way, but tonight we have it set so when you complete all the objectives, it gives you the crystal so that you can beat Zeromus. You can set the objective modes in the randomizer so that you simply beat the game once you get all the objectives. That's not how we're playing tonight, though.
Simbu getting there, Sandruby along with that spoon. Looks like Moonblaze Wolf has decided to take the Baron key he got from the Sheila 1 check directly into the castle. And just double checking, it looks like it was a white spear in the Baron trash can.
That would be great if we had found a Kmain yet. I guess Edge can always throw it. Dia with the swag Meteo for the Magus Sisters.
So, making decent work of them, getting themselves the Darkness Crystal.
Ooh, now this is a bit of a coup because the Darkness Crystal opens up a heck of a lot of boss checks. And the odds are good that at least one of the 2 remaining bosses are on the moon. So this is a little good for Dia.
I mean, I believe to this point we've seen what are those 2 bosses left on the Oath side we haven't seen, being the super cannon, which we may see in a quick second here from Simbu, and the Luca cave.
Yeah, we're running out of spots for these monsters to be.
Is going through Baron, getting themselves the Mylon kill that is required, whereas Zilch is just finishing up the Leviathan that's on the throne. Simbu finally making his way to the top of the tower to fight that Valvalis, so another boss checked off the list.
Yeah, and you know, our players tonight have a pretty good party for either Reflect or Hybrid strats, so whichever they choose. But most of them still need quite a bit of levels before they'll be ready for Zaroma. So depending on how fast they find the last 2 bosses could determine how much grinding they're going to have to do. And I don't know about you, but I haven't seen any sirens yet.
No, I don't believe any of our owners have gotten into them. Not 100% on how the new flags for the shops are. Although it does look like Dia has decided that the moon is the play.
Yeah, so under these shop flags, items are basically gated. Better items are more likely to be found deeper in the game. So the moon item shop is going to be the one most likely to have sirens.
See Moonblaze immediately telling Yang that he doesn't care for him and about to go get the White Spear. We'll see if they follow this up with a fight with the Mega Sisters as well. Looks like Zilch is heading that way as well, so...
Yeah, at this point, our players are doing the math and realizing there's not that many boss spots left. I can't imagine any of them skipping Odin at this point. It's just too risky. I'm still loving this one color staircase. Looks more like a slide. Dia's going to check that moon shop. We shall see if there are the almighty sirens here to allow some quick level gains. Ooh, and that's a strikeout. There were Bacchus wines, though, if they'd like to do some hybrid strats tonight.
Looks like that's not Dia's plan at this moment. Looks like they're going to head into the lunar subterranean to probably the bigger congregation of bosses that are still available in this game.
Hey, I just want to remind everybody the summon monster quests are on, and the boss in Cave Bahamut could be one of the ones we're looking for. I've heard this saying that there's always value in Cave Bahamut. I'm just saying. Ooh, Tella on the moon too. You hate to see it.
Yeah, we also find that the super cannon just has an antlion goading it, so not one of the bosses we're looking for. But another check out of the way here for Simbu.
Yeah, the only way this item could be useful is if it's Pkey or Earth Crystal.
See Zilch getting that Meteor off as well on the Mega Sisters.
Yeah, I mean, our players are very simple people. They see a wall, they cast Meteor.
Looks like after checking the character and using the healing pads, Diaz decided that they're going to check out Cave Bahamut. I mean, you can check out the boss a little early to see if it's something they want to do.
That I'm gonna call that anime style. That's the chat sending their thoughts and dreams to Dia. Would also be a great place if anybody had sirens to fight some dragons. It looks like that's a moon boss as well. And Dia's like, nope, don't need that. Now that might come to bite Dia, because if what they need happens to be at Earth Crystal and Pkey, and that happens to be dropped from the Bahamut Cave boss, that's going to be a pretty rude mistake.
Yeah, Simbu finding himself a crystal sword. Gonna be pretty happy with that since he did take that Cecil.
Yeah, pretty surprising. Simbu the only one to take that Cecil, I'm pretty sure.
I believe at the time he found Cecil, he had not done the Baron Inn, so he actually just filled out the party with them.
Yeah, that's actually gonna be kind of a game changer for Simbu, because Cecil with the Crystal Sword absolutely wrecks the Zeromus battle. I mean, we're talking, it can be the difference between you entering the Zeromus fight minutes after somebody else, but still completing it before them.
Definitely. Looks like Moonblaze has decided to activate the Lunar Whale as well. Simbu going through that Baron, which we do know is required with the Mylon in that first spot, and will eventually yield that Darkness Crystal.
This is so crazy. I mean, it's true that they have two bosses left, so they can't get to go mode just by checking the pan. So I can see why some of our players are making the decision to let the pan sit for now while they go check more boss spots.
It's interesting too, because we see Dia going into these fights and resetting them if they're not the ones they want, which could bite them if, say the Earth Crystal or the Pkey is hiding one of those bosses. We saw them reset it with King Queen Eblon there on the Pale Dim spot, and it's now heading deeper into the moon.
Yeah, we're here to the nitty gritty now. So this is where your routing starts to become a little bit of a gamble. Dia is gambling right now that a boss they need will not be at Pkey or Earth Crystal. So they're just gonna check all of them, and only once they've determined that none of these bosses are the ones they need are they going to actually fight them.
Now the fun question: who's going to check the giant first?
Ooh, you know, I didn't even think about one of our bosses being hidden in one of the two giant spots, but that would certainly make the fans happy, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be a very interesting turn of events. Zilch getting through that antlion in the super cannon spot as well. Yeah, I believe both Dia and Moonblaze, even though they've received the pan, have not taken that second trip that would net them the tower key.
Let's see who is at the Wyvern spot.
Gonna make a savior right before it, and then check that pedestal. Ooh, it's Knazo.
There we go. Lunar Subterrane Knazo in the Wyvern spot. That's nice. So if Dia can find Rubicant down here, it's gonna be gamble paid off.
For sure. I mean, kind of reorganizing the party to make it through this Knazo fight, hopefully. As you can see, he can melee for quite a bit of damage here.
Yeah, the only good thing is this is one of the lower HP boss spots in the Lunar Subterrane, so the wave attack hopefully will not kill Fusoya.
I see, preemptively got that Lit Bolt or Thor Rage going to knock him out. Still gets the wave because this is quite a speedy spot, but looks like 3 of his characters do end up living through it.
Yeah, it should be pretty safe now, unless a punch comes out at the wrong time.
Looks like we have an exit out from Moonblaze Wolf from Bahamut's Cave as well.
Yeah, so if I'm thinking correctly, the lunar boss that we haven't seen yet is either Pale Dim or Wyvern. So they're kind of seeing that moon boss and being like, I don't know if I want to roll the odds on that.
And I guess they're also gambling in the fact that they're hoping that they find what they need in the Lunar Subterrane without actually having to go ahead and find those other key items. Dia taking another death to Knazo here, heading straight back.
Yeah, I don't know if this is the right play for Dia or not. I see what they're trying to do, but if it's me, I'm thinking maybe I would be fighting some of these bosses because I need the levels anyways, so I may as well get the checks done.
Yeah, I think the one I'm most surprised is the reset of King Queen Ebelon. I mean, it's a pretty free fight with a decent amount of experience, just for the fact of being on the moon itself, and has over 10 key items already, so it would be. You have to double check the experience.
Zilch now getting done with the tower completely, getting their crystal sword as well. Not sure if that's going to be too much use for Zilch because, believe it or not, you can't throw the crystal sword. For some reason, the game just doesn't want you to do that. So you can throw Excaliburs all day long, but it doesn't allow you to throw crystal swords.
Yeah, Looks like Zilch is now going to turn in that rat tail for an apple. As we do see Moonblaze deep in the moon.
Yeah, there are two frames of thought, for players in the lunar subterrane. It's basically, are we going to go top down or bottom up? It looks like bottom up for Moonblaze Wolf, and is this?
I believe that's a random encounter.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did he turn encounters on, or is this? We do have the alternate gauntlet on right now.
Oh, that is correct. This might actually be the alternate gauntlet.
That would be super rude.
So yeah, the alternate gauntlet kind of taking monsters, I believe, from the area that you're in and creating you the random battles with them.
Yeah, there are some quite problematic enemies in the lunar subterranean, so this is not a great place to get it.
Although on this spot with the double experience, it could be quite a few levels.
Oh my gosh, it is the gauntlet. So luckily, the monsters in this pool do not include the ones that appear in the Crystal Palace levels that are below this. If that were the case, like if this were the Ogopogo spot down there and it was alternate gauntlet, you would get crazy stuff like the mines and the other weird stuff that causes trouble even for heavily leveled parties. We see that sometimes in seeds without the pass, where we have forced encounters on, and it's a slog to get down to Zeromus.
Yeah, we also see something we don't see all the time. Zilch actually returns to Mysidia to go to the Crystal Room and actually trades out Sid for Cecil to use that Crystal Sword.
I don't think this is a poor move at all. We have moon bosses remaining. Your party's going to get a ton of EXP. Cecil's going to catch up rapidly, and the Crystal Sword really is just that good.
Dia has finally taken out Kenazo as well, and it looks like Zilch is heading to the Giant.
Oh, unfortunately, Dia only finding an Artemis bow, but had to kill Kenazo anyway, so it's not a complete loss. So we're going to get to see everything here pretty shortly.
Yeah, Simbu making his way to the moon now as well, after finishing up, I'm pretty sure, almost everything on the Earth that he could have. We'll see if Dia heads into this moon gauntlet, I guess we could call it here.
I mean, this really is the second rudest place to get the gauntlet, and I'm loving it. I mean, you're right though. The EXP is quite amazing.
Still trying to back row glitch Cecil, realizing the only bow he has is on Rosa.
Yeah, and remember that we do have the pass, we do have access to the moon, which means by fighting this boss, basically what Moonblaze Wolf is saying is, I think one of the bosses I need is behind Earth Crystal or Luca Key, and I think they're in this box because we know there's only one boss left to find. We haven't seen Rubicon yet, so this is a gamble, but it's a gamble that could pay off heavily because I can see some of our runners resetting out of this fight and hoping that it's somewhere else.
It looks like the first fight on the Giant is the Calcabretta dolls.
Well, that's excellent. Free EXP for Zilch.
See, even through that quick, this spot has quite a bit of HP, so...
Yeah, if you're unaware, the dolls in the back, the blue ones, are susceptible to stop, so you can hourglass them, and as long as you kill them before the hourglass runs out, they will never turn into the giant doll. So you're very safe to kill the red ones.
See him throwing an hourglass after the quake takes out those front rows. Sadly, a little too late, and we do have the big Calcabretta doll.
Yeah, Zilch, that's not worth it. Let's try that again.
I feel like we may see him throw an hourglass almost immediately this time. Simbu about to head into this Pale Dim thing, which we know is the King Queen Eblon, where I saw at least the Luca key in those chests for Moonblaze Wolf. I did not see the other item.
Oh, wouldn't it be grand if one of our required bosses is the boss behind the Luca key?
And thanks for a track of the other chest was an Avenger sword, so...
Yeah, that's some firepower if any of our other runners find that, because you can swap. There is a glitch in this game, which is well known in the community, where you can switch your weapon, and as long as you don't take an action again, it does not reset your attack power. So you can switch the Avenger Sword into Cecil's hand, and he'll be attacking with Crystal Sword power while automatically berserked. It's a very overpowered combination.
We saw Moonblaze take a very quick look at the plague spot, saw CPU immediately reset, and is heading down for the Ogre spot.
That's interesting. He was willing to do the alt gauntlet, but not CPU. Excellent. Where's he? Wait, where's he going? He went too far.
Maybe he's decided that the gauntlet was worth the experience, or the CPU is not worth the trouble. Simbu getting himself a ribbon off of the King Queen Eblon spot. Oh, interesting. So the Dark Elf is in the Ogre Pogo spot, which means that either the Luca Cave, the Earth Crystal, or the second spot in the Giant is holding Rubicante?
This is risky for Moonblaze Wolf because Moonblaze Wolf skipped that Dark Elf and he skipped the CPU fight, but either one of those could have the Earth Crystal, which could also have the final remaining boss. So every decision you make at this point of the match is a big risk. Anything you skip.
Definitely, yeah. We do see Zilch getting through that doll fight. I'm gonna assume he's gonna go back and save and then check what is in that CPU spot. Dia making their way through this gauntlet, toting that trigger because you can.
They kind of had some weird ideas for the enemies in the lunar subterranean sometimes. I mean, who would have thought a floating goblin would be a thing on the moon, along with humans?
Yeah, Moonblaze does make his way to the Wyvern spot, finds this Knazo that he does have to defeat. But I'm now really intrigued to see what's going to be in this second spot on the Giant here.
You know, I actually think Moonblaze Wolf had a Lit Claw left over from the beginning of the game and put it on that edge before throwing the Bacchus. So HP is going to melt pretty quick here on Knazo. The next wave is not going to be nearly as threatening as the first.
Oh, the second boss on the Giant is just the Wyvern, who has Needle and destroys Zilch's party.
Oh, that's a big yikes. Big yikes.
And he is just going to run out of the Giant now.
Yeah, we have no need of that. Get out of here. Simbu resetting at a CPU just like Moonblaze Wolf did.
It's interesting because at this point we need, like, if that Luca key doesn't hold Rubicante, then it is that Earth Crystal, and it's either on, I guess, the CPU or that Dark Elf, or unless it's in Luca Cave itself.
Yeah, we've got some very tough calls to make for our runners. Dia also resetting from CPU. This is if what we need is on that CPU boss fight, it's going to be a rude awakening for all of our featured runners tonight, basically.
Yeah, we see Simbu resetting out of the Dark Elf as well, so...
Yeah, you can tell there's certain boss fights in certain locations that runners just do not want to do Dark Elf at Ogopogo is one of those things we see it a lot in races, and it is just really rough. Despite the fact that the second form of Dark Elf basically is free, that's how hard it is. It hits really hard there and is very fast.
I mean, if Cecil with a Crystal Sword, I just bazooka him and he'd do max damage. I don't know. He still hit really hard. Looks like Zilch is deciding to check the Magus Sister spot. He does not have the Oath Crystal, but has still gone into the tower.
Well,
checking the first boss spot.
If this is Rubicante, this would be an absolute coup for Zilch. Although Zilch hasn't checked the Lunar Subterranean boss spot, so it's still missing Kanazo. So this is a big gamble on Zilch's part.
Looks like Dia is also taking the play to the Giant. Only going to find dolls and a wyvern.
Yeah, so right now you're seeing what we call desperation, because these runners do not want to fight. Oh my goodness. Zilch finding Rubicant, Magus Sisters with no Earth Crystal. If Zilch goes to the moon next and finds that Kanazo, this could be a huge upset.
Yeah, so he makes quick work of that Rubicante, and now he only needs to go to that wyvern spot.
Yeah, I mean, if the Earth Crystal is buried behind one of those really hard bosses on the moon, this and our other runners don't think to come here without it, this could be a big upset for Zilch.
I mean, that does go to show we know where everything is now. No other key items are required for runners to technically complete this. It's just, if the Oath Crystal is somewhere to point someone towards this tower, it could help.
Well, you know, here comes the heartbreaking part of the seed, because you know at least one of these runners is going to go chase that Luca key.
Zilch's gonna have to make use of the added bridge to get back to his lunar whale, because he left the tower and got his airship back.
Yeah, that's a little addition. That bridge is not there in regular Final Fantasy IV, but Boardface anticipated this need and put it there so that if you had a vehicle parked in that one tile, you could still access this continent.
So if I was in Zilch's shoes here, I would probably be making quick checks on all of these bosses, looking everywhere to see if I could find Knazo. Now we see Simbu checking Bahamut Cave and instantly leaving.
Yeah, so at least we know none of our runners really made a mistake by noping out of the Bahamut Cave boss.
Yeah. Did Simbu... doesn't look like he has the Luca key, so this Earth Crystal first boss check might be something he would do relatively quickly. And if so, he's going to be in a good position to go through.
He is driving the whale to Troya. Oh my goodness. And this is it. Simbu's going to make quick work of that that Rubicante there, and has the pass, will already be in Troya. Does he have the levels? That's the question.
Oh yeah, that wyvern is not nice with Needle. Zilch sees a moon boss, resets, gonna probably head to the subterranean now.
Well, this is going to be a race then, because Zilch and Simbu both need the levels. They're both heading towards the item they need, although Zilch has more to check before he will find it. Simbu is heading directly where he needs to go. So we shall see here. It seems like I would give the advantage to Simbu right now. I need a good look at their party first.
Yeah, I know Simbu has taken out a few bosses on the moon itself as well, so I would assume his levels are probably a bit better than Zilch's at this point.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Dia is also heading. Oh, no, never mind. Dia's heading to Magnus.
Yeah, having skipped that check earlier, going to be making their way into the Magnus Cave with some music and something that's not required. Simbu has found Rubicante.
Yeah, if you're Simbu right now, you've got to be feeling pretty good.
All objectives complete.
And with that, Simbu is the first of our featured runners to receive the crystal.
Goes through the door anyways, realizes, no, I don't have the Earth Crystal, I can't do this.
Yeah, that's just a little bit of muscle memory there.
I mean, it's not too often that you go into this tower without the Earth Crystal, so...
Yeah, and I mean, there's more for it now that we have the boss objectives, and there's a lot of different boss objectives you can do, by the way. If you haven't tested the new objective flag settings, not only can you set there's this new fiends mode, but you can set any number of custom objectives having to do with both the boss positions and actual boss monsters.
See Zilch actually fighting this King and Queen Avalon spot. Looking at it, it looks like he's going to need a few more levels to even take on Zeromus once he does get to the point where he gets his crystal.
Yeah, unless he feels really, really good about nerfing every Big Bang.
Looks like Simbu is just going for it.
Yeah, man, I don't blame him. Simbu has a really good Zeroma skill, so and is also the one who has fought the most of the moon bosses. So at this point, when I do see that Rubicant, I'm like, surely no one else has checked here. We got to go. So now we're ready for everybody's favorite time. There's a certain phrase we like to state around this time. Do you want to do the honors, Kabahi?
Whose butt are we gonna kick tonight? Yeah, with that, we have the randomized Zeroma sprite, one of hundreds. Could be what we're going to fight.
Yeah, let's see those Z flags in the chat if you got them.
Around 450 now, and I think most of them done by Scala Kitty. I believe Board put in a bunch himself at the beginning as well. And looking at his levels, he has actually pretty decent levels on all his characters, so Simbu should make pretty quick work of this fight.
Yeah, I would be worried about maybe a high roll taking out Rosa and Fu at the same time, but other than that, looking pretty safe.
Gonna go ahead and throw that crystal.
His true colors emerged.
It's Magus!
Everyone's favorite Dark Sorcerer / Time Traveler from Chrono Trigger. I really hope you didn't pick the wrong option and fight him when you could have got him in your party. Sorry for anybody who did that.
Speaking of the earlier rabbit holes, we do have Moonblaze Wolf in the Luca Cave.
Ooh, big yikes. Sorry, Moonblaze Wolf. That's not great. And that's a pink tail. Well, you know, I mean, who can say no to an adamant armor? Oh, but doesn't decide to keep it once he sees the boss isn't what he's looking for.
it's that crystal sword Cecil just making quick work of Magus. Let's hear.
Yeah, those beefy hits. I always say the critical hit and the normal hit sound effects for holy swords in this game are just real juicy. I love them. They're one of the best sound effects on the Super Nintendo, in my opinion.
Yeah, it looks like Dia is making their way to where we know Rubicante is after, getting poisoned by Luga.
Yeah, by the way, there is an option in the randomizer. It's no longer a flag. It's actually on the option screen where you can turn off the screen flashing effect that you're seeing here. Most players don't choose to do it since it also turns off the flash of Zeromus getting killed. But if you are susceptible to this kind of weird screen thing, you can turn it off and it doesn't affect your seat at all anymore.
Getting some interesting sprite knowledge from Scala about these sprites. So
yeah, we did see Fusoya went down for Simbu, but Rosa managed to stay up. I'm gonna have to use an item on her though, because she is reflected right now, not getting advantage by her Cure 4s.
Yeah, we see Dia and Zilch both in the I think it's the final fiend battle here. Little different battles. One's going to be much easier than the other.
Yeah, this is going to be kind of neck and neck for the two of them because their levels are similar and they're right on the edge of being safe for Zeromus or not. And Dia's a little closer to where they need to be as far as location, but otherwise, it's we could see them entering the fight at very close to the same time. So
yeah, we do see falling rocks for Simbu. Zeromus will be out of commission fairly soon. And there we go with that final swing of the Crystal Sword. Simbu has finished, and he has finished in first place with a time of 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 10 seconds. Looks like Dia has gotten the crystal as well after defeating Rubicante.
Zilch about to get done wrapping up with Kanazo hiding in the shell, and then we'll also be heading to Zeromus, I've got to think, pretty quickly.
Be interesting to decide if Zilch wants more levels after this point, or...
And so with that, we're just waiting for Moonblaze Wolf to find Rubicant, which, this could be a bit. May have to fight some of those skipped boss battles on the moon to realize the Tower of Zot is where he needs to go. Which, this could be a bit.
Simbu,
may have to fight some of those skipped
race.
boss battles on the moon to realize the
Simbu,
Tower of Zot
one
is where
question
he
I
needs
want
to
to
go. Ahead right
and
away.
We are joined by
How did you
Simbu,
feel when you found Rubicant at
Earth
Crystalless Zot?
Simbu, I got one question I want to get ahead right away. How did you feel when you found Rubicant at Earth Crystalless Zot?
Like, yeah, this was kind of nice. I know not many people are going to check that place early, but it was that or giant or kill stuff and hope for the Luca key or Earth crystal. So overall, I just felt like that was a safer play. Quickly check that, see if there's anything, and then go to the giant. And if nothing else, I had a bunch of save states set up on the moon so I could go through the spots really quickly. But I'm just really happy that I didn't have to do 34 out of 34. But
yeah, we can tell you the giant was dolls into Wyvern with Needle that was doing about 2,200 damage immediately to everyone.
Ouch.
Luca, we can tell you the giant was dolls into Wyvern with Needle that was doing about 2,200 damage immediately to everyone. I don't think anyone found the Earth Crystal, so it's hidden behind I guess, CPU, which I think everyone decided to reset out of, and maybe Dark Elf.
Okay. So someone actually sat through the alt gauntlet?
Yes, that was where the Luca key and an Avenger came from.
Ah. Would have been nice, but not really required, so...
Yeah, a couple of our runners, I think, used it for some levels as well, so they didn't have to go through the entire thing.
Yeah, we actually we knew that you were heading towards the right direction because Dia actually showed us that Rubicante first, but didn't have, or sorry, I think it was Zilch. Zilch hadn't been to the moon though, so that puts you squarely ahead. And as soon as you started to go to Troya, we were like, oh, here it comes. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was just feeling kind of interested in checking it today. It's been a while since anything great has been in Zot, so it's like, let's go take a little peek. And as I said, I had a ton of save states set up to do some really nice save scumming if needed, but luckily picked right and didn't have to worry about any of that.
No, it was definitely a good gamble, knowing, you know, at that point you needed one thing left, so it could be anywhere. We saw a lot of the runners resetting out of, I think, most of the moon fights, just trying to find that last, I think at that point, 2 fiends left that they needed to get that crystal, hoping that they didn't need to go through any more progression. Yeah,
I was tempted to kill CPU and Dark Elf because both of those wouldn't have been too bad with Crystal Sword Cecil. But it's one of those situations where it's like, I could, but do I really want to? And I mean, that's the risky part about these random objective bosses is it could be wide out in the open, or it could be hitting somewhere pretty deep behind something, so you have to choose one way or the other. Are you going to go for death and just full clear everything, or are you going to take all of the shallow parts and go like that? It's really hard to choose that breadth first or depth first search.
Yeah, and with the way the game kind of gave it at the beginning, you got yourself Edge and Sid, who are both pretty beefy physical characters, so you're able to kind of do a lot of checks right away to check out like those little off spots and stuff and not really be worried about things you fought.
Yeah, that was kind of nice. I mean, I didn't find any great weaponry for Edge, and even late game I didn't find anything great. I had a mute dagger and a boomerang that got upgraded to a full moon for most of the seed, but I mean, it allowed me to check the package knowing I could get through it quickly, and it gave me enough courage to check the hook spot early, which led to Fu. Let me go do Twin Harp early-ish, which I'll take the pass any day, but just trying to clear out everything as solidly as possible, because I didn't want to leave anything on the earth, and most of the early checks didn't pay off huge dividends, but it's just nice not to have to worry about that in the mid game, trying to think, do I want to go back to this really slow spot? So
cool. Well, is there anything else you'd like to say about the seed before we let you go?
Not too much to say, except hi Demarine, I made your probably least favorite character named after you. Thanks for the boss hunt. Just trying to pick on Demarine a little bit for the flag set, so anyway.
Well, fair enough. Well, GG again, and thanks for racing for us, and congratulations on your win.
Yep. Have a good night, guys.
Now, while we were in that interview, we've had quite some developments. First off, Pizza34 sniped second place with a time of 1 hour, 33 minutes, and 7 seconds off screen. That's due to a wipe from Dia in the Z spot. So Dia missing out on second place with that wipe, and also giving Zilch the chance to get ahead as far as our on-stream runners go. Antidale also coming in third place with a time of 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 51 seconds. GG to both of them.
Yeah, we also saw Moonblaze making that giant play, turning out about as well as it did for everyone else. It looks like heading towards that Ubicante spot now. And we do have falling rocks on Zilch's screen.
Yeah, this is very nice. Moonblaze Wolf has figured this out pretty quick, that this could be the play. Once you start seeing those dot duns, you start to think, wow, did everybody really fight that CPU and Dark Elf, or is it other places that are left? You start to metagame a little bit. I'm glad to see Moonblaze Wolf making the right play here.
Yeah, and with that final strike, Zilch has finished in fourth place with a time of 1 hour, 35 minutes, and 22 seconds.
You know, I gotta say, these are quite quick times for Fiends percent. That's a lot of boss. There's 34 boss positions to check in a flag set like this, and for them to have found all 6 and be beating the game at just a little bit over an hour and a half is pretty impressive.
Definitely. And I mean, like, the bosses are pretty spread out throughout everything, too. I mean, I guess that's the nature of having 6 bosses in the 34, so... Looks like Dia is getting hit pretty hard, queuing up his characters, though, and should hopefully be able to make it through.
Yeah, it seems like maybe it was just a bit of bad timing, like a big bang into Medio or like a high roll that took out the team earlier. You see another high roll there taking out Rosa, just barely 1 HP more than she had. Yikes, that's a big ouch. Just bad luck.
Yeah, that was straight into a virus to take out his last character, so sadly wasn't able to live through, but we'll see what they decide to do.
And we are now joined by Zilch. Zilch, a GG on that finish.
Thank you.
So my question is, I think you were the first of our runners to actually find Rubicante in that tower, and I believe you went there before you did mostly anything on the moon. What were you thinking when you found that, and you had the whole moon ahead of you?
I figured if I were to find, there's only 2 bosses left, and if one of them was Zot, I didn't want to have to come back. Plus, I had already gambled on the giant and the package, and I did the twin harp and all that, and ordeals, which didn't end up with anything. So I figured I needed to gamble somewhere. Wasn't enough, but it did feel good seeing that, assuming the other boss wasn't behind the Earth Crystal. Then that would have sucked.
Yeah, I believe at that point, the only other bosses we hadn't really seen were Luca Cave, which we did see later, and the Earth Crystal itself.
Yeah, I figured something might have been behind that gauntlet on the moon, but...
Yeah, the gauntlet on the moon was an Avenger and Luca Key.
Okay. Yeah, my logic was I was already gambling too much, so I may as well fully commit.
Well, I mean, it worked out. I mean, you knew at that point there was one thing you needed to find left, and kind of went to the moon looking for it and found it pretty quickly.
The last boss I checked, but yeah, we'll call it quickly.
Well, I mean, quickly in the fact that you could just reset out of everything. But I mean, beyond that, like, the seed was fairly generous pretty early. You had, two of the better early physical characters. What were you thinking at the beginning, knowing that you had that and everything you could check?
I basically figured I'd try to backtrack as little as possible. So I just started with Baron Inn, and apparently Thor Rages don't do much to the first boss there, as I learned. But I figured I'd just blow through everything and I assumed I wouldn't be dying anytime with Edge and Sid, especially after I got the full moon in the value pond. I had Edge back road, so I didn't really have any. I figured nothing was dangerous. Apparently Wyvern at Giant was pretty bad, but Needle does a lot of damage there.
I think 3 of our runners ended up running into that and immediately just walked out of the giant after.
I don't even think that's reflectable, but I didn't really feel like trying to find out.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I don't even know what the damage calculation for Needle is because it just never comes up. But I'm glad you got to show us that, because I think you were also the first one to show us the giant. So thanks for giving us full completion factor as far as what we got to see.
Happy to help. Yeah, my thought process on the giant was I would just demachine if the boss wasn't free, but it was Calbrenna, and I figured I can just life glitch the back ones, and hopefully that would be enough experience. And it was enough to get me through the seed. Actually, knowing I only had 1 boss left. But if that wasn't a free boss there, I probably would have just demachined and get Cecil ridiculously high level.
I think you also the one to show us. You got that crystal sword and immediately went to go pick up your Cecil.
I was like, oh, I can slingshot him. It's not necessary, but why not?
Yeah, and actually, those levels ended up being key to your success tonight, because it turns out Dia took a wipe thanks to being a slightly lower level than you and taking some high roll big bangs. So your levels actually helped you out quite a bit and let you leapfrog quite a few places.
Yeah, plus the ribbon I got from King Queen Eblon would have gave me a little more big bang protection. Happy I didn't get big bang medio comboed. That's never fun.
That's fair enough. Do you have any final thoughts or anything on the seed before?
Not on the seed, but thanks for commentary, restreaming, tracking, and all that.
Yeah, well, GG, and congratulations on your 4th place finish.
Thank you. Have a good night.
As we go on, we see Dia's having a little bit of trouble with the Zeromus fight, just not able to getting the heals in. Eating some, I think a couple times, some bad timed viruses to finish off the last member of the party. So just a little bit of trouble with healing and getting the damage out to transition them through the phases. We do see Moonblaze in this fight as well. It's got pretty decent health on his characters. Looks like around the same on his Rosa, actually, but going with looks like a reflect strat.
Yeah, and that just goes to show no matter what your path was through the game, the Zeromus fight can always be a curveball. You know, it's not that Dia's strategy has been poor, it's just that she's missing just a little bit of the levels, and getting high rolled on Rosa, who doesn't have great equipment. So, you know, kind of hurts. And yeah, this may allow Moonblaze Wolf to pull ahead.
Yeah, we also had 2 more racers finishes. Flow 14 in 5th place with a time of 1:38.34, and Error in 6th place with 1:38.53. So, just 19 seconds between those 5th and.
Yeah, you know, usually I would consider a 2200 HP on Rosa to be relatively safe. So, you know, this is just a little bit of bad luck and or timing as far as her going down. Now we definitely would expect the Palom and Porum to go down, or I should say the 2 Paloms to go down. Any unnerfed Big Bang is probably going to kill both of them, but that's, I think, expected.
Yeah, they're a little bit under the threshold that you would expect for living party members, but we do see Rosa go down again, and that Cure 4 get reflected off Fusaya, so.
Yeah, the very first Big Bang, taking that high roll, taking Rosa down, and a very fast Zeromus as well, just because there's not enough characters up to kind of make the action queue happen. So this is, I fear, was going to be another wipe for Dia.
Although with that reflection, we do have Moonblaze Wolf finishing as well. Poydrak actually finished 7th place with 143.34, and then Moonblaze finishing in 8th place with 144.34. So just a minute behind Poydrak, but an 8th place finish for Moonblaze Wolf.
Yeah, we can see this is a pretty incredible seed to look at. First place finished at 1 hour 27 minutes. And right now, we basically have all the featured runners done, and it's only 1 hour and 44 minutes in. So it's a very small amount of time, only about 15 minutes in between the first place finish and what is going to be 9th place finish. So not too shabby at all considering how many people are running and the various skill levels and strategies involved. Oh, and looks like we are now joined by Moonblaze Wolf. Hello, Blaze. What's going on?
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Oh, not too shabby. How did you feel after diving all that extra stuff and then finally finding your Rubicon in Earth Crystalless Zot?
I mean, at that point, it was fine. I was just trying to be smart, and at that point, that was one of 2 bosses that I didn't know what it was, so I figured 50-50 chance, and I'd rather check that before going back up to the moon and hunting for the Earth Crystal, so, I mean, it was okay. I'm not overly unhappy with how I played or anything.
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I think you checked the most out of all of our featured runners, showing us like the Luca cave as well and other things. So, I mean, all in all, like you said, you checked all but one or 2 spots and killing a couple bosses, but you still finished in a relatively decent time.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think my routing was particularly good, and I absolutely hosed myself by fading Fabul. So thanks, Rivers, for all the recommendations on that one. But if I had done that right away, I would have had the pan, which means I would have had a crystal sword, probably plus a Cecil, probably at about 40 to 45 minutes. So it just completely changes the dynamic of the seed at that point. And I mean, considering missing on a couple of those things, I guess I'm pretty happy with how I finished, but man, that could have been such a easy seed if I had done things maybe in just a slightly more traditional manner.
If it makes you feel any better, you were not the only featured runner who skipped Fabul and therefore had to do the double dip. So you were not alone for sure.
Yeah, but I made it way worse on myself by I didn't even check it till after I got back from the moon because I was like, well, it's not a boss check, so I guess I'll just leave it till I'm out of key item spots. So I don't know, it's fine, but when I saw that crystal sword, I was like, oh, this seed was really easy for a lot of people probably.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely saw it play a hand for at least Simbu and Zilch a little when they received it, but I mean, you still did well, and you got your a nice reflect strat on Zoromans himself as well.
Yeah, that was entertaining once I realized I didn't have any silk webs. So glad I was able to clutch out that second big bang. But I mean, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the seed. I really enjoyed the needle at Whichburn. So thank you for that. Whoever rolled the seed, that was amazing.
Yeah, I think we saw 3 of our runners run into that, get needled, and immediately just leave. Yeah, and unfortunately, Dia has decided to forfeit from the race, just having a little bit too much trouble with Zoromans there. So, GG to Dia as well. Still a great race. Still got through everything in a decent amount of time. So.
Dia did want the viewers to know they blamed the vintage color set for this. Well, I do want to thank all of our featured runners tonight for having the bravery to volunteer for this before they even knew what the flag set was going to be. We could have thrown something at them like we did on Monday. So very nice for them to come out. Of course, thank you to the rest of the Restream team who once again was Tower Sheep on the Restream, Alicel on the item tracking, and my co-commentator, Kobahi.
Thank you as well, Lore Master Motos.
Well, y'all, we have had a good time tonight. We want to thank you for coming out. These community races do rely on you all to come out and have a good time with us. So thank you again for being our viewers tonight. Just to keep in mind, we do have the Fabul Gauntlet tournament coming up. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, go to the Discord, check it out. We have a big event coming up soon, which is going to be a 1v1 tournament. It's the first time we've done this in the community, so it's a good opportunity to get into the game in like a less cluttered setting than the community races. Ball SS in chat did ask if any of the Fabul matches going to be restreamed. Yes, they will be restreamed as much as possible. We're not going to guarantee that we're going to restream every match, but if we have the volunteers available, we are going to try to do it as much as we can. All right. Looks like we are done for tonight. I also want to give a shout out to Randomania for always hosting our Friday night races. We do appreciate it to give us over their channel over to us every week. And thank you for viewing and have a great night tonight, folks.